I am Scott, and welcome to episode number 2 of my series on the 2025 Leona Divide 100K. Today, we're going to do a deep dive on the course, as well as talk about a few other things around the course, logistics such as aid stations and pacing. Now, I'm going to concentrate on the 100K because that's what I'm running, but if you're running the 50 miler or the 100 miler, there is some relevant information here. 50 miles is the same course, it just turns back a little bit earlier than the 100K, and the 100 miler uses most of this course, but there's obviously some additional mileage. So before we get started, I do have one disclaimer. I have never set foot on this course. So everything I'm about to say is a compilation of conversations, watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, and reading blogs. So if I miss anything, or God forbid I get something wrong, please leave me a comment and let me know. And with that, let's get into it. As I mentioned in my first video, the race starts and finishes in Lake Hughes, California, about an hour to 2 hours north of the Los Angeles area, depending on where you're going and, how bad that LA traffic is. The race goes through the Angeles National Forest, and it takes place between about 3,200 feet and a little bit under 5,000 feet. And while not at high elevation, there is significant gain on the course, clocking in at about 10,095 feet in 100K. So there's a lot uphill. The cutoff for the course is 32 hours. And I think that's due to the fact that there's now a 100 miler at Leona Divide. But if you want to qualify for the Western States Lottery, you got to come in under 17 hours. And that's the goal for me. For the 100K, there are 8 aid stations. 4 of those are crewed aid stations. And there is one additional aid station that you hit twice that your crew can hike into. So technically, I guess there's 6 crewed aid stations if your crew wants to make that hike in. The Leona Divide courses are not technical, so if you're somebody like me who every trail you run on is full of rocks, chunk, and roots, it's going to be very nice to get out there and run on some nice, buttery, smooth California trails. Now, earlier, I mentioned that this race goes through the Angeles National Forest, and while that's true, we will not be running through forests of tall trees with lots of shade. This course is exposed, so if it ends up being a warm day, which is fairly likely, it's going to get hot. So don't forget your hat and sunscreen. There are no major water crossings on this course, but there is the possibility of some small streams on the side of the trail. So if those are there, those are a good spot to stop, kind of splash some water on yourself, and get cooled off. All right, time to get into the course. There are some videos out there on YouTube that kind of detail the course. KH Races has a pretty good one on their website. I'll link to that in the description. So the race starts in Lake Hughes, and you immediately start a climb. It's probably about a 800 or 900 foot climb up to the PCT via a truck trail. Once you get up to the PCT, you're going to turn left and head south on the Pacific Crest Trail. You'll see your crew at the 7.5 mile aid station, and then you're going to work your way all the way down to Bouquet at mile 20 and turn around and head back the way you came. If your crew is not hiking into the Spunky Edison aid station, you will not see your crew. Your crew will not have access to you from mile 7.5 to mile 32.5. So if you want to see crew in that section, you need them to hike in to the Spunky Edison aid station, and then you'll have crew at mile 14 as well as mile 26. If you're going to have a pacer, you'll be able to pick them up at mile 32.5, which is the San Fran aid station number 2. Both the 50 miler and the 100K can pick up a pacer here. From there, runners are going to continue along the PCT, go past the junction where we jumped on the PCT earlier that morning, and head out to the Lake Hughes aid station. From the Lake Hughes aid station, for 100K runners, this is where the work begins. From Lake Hughes, runners will continue on the PCT up to the junction with Sawmill Road. If you're a 50 mile runner, this is where you get to turn around and head back to the start. If you're a 100K runner, it gets interesting. So big drop down Sawmill Road to the Sawmill Road aid station, and then you get to turn around and head back up the 6-mile climb between 24 and 2,600 feet up to climb back to the PCT. Then you've got another couple miles before you're going to get back to the Lake Hughes aid station. So that total stretch is over 8 miles. So you're going to want to make sure you got plenty of fluids and nutrition to get through that section. I've also been told, but I haven't been able to verify, that the aid station at Sawmill will not let you leave that aid station with less than 40 ounces of fluids. Once you reach the Lake Hughes aid station for the second time, you got one more big climb, which will take you back to the trail junction where the truck trail climb was, the start of the race. You get to take a left and cruise down to the finish. All right, so that is a deeper dive on the course and race logistics. In future episodes, I'm going to talk about things like training, nutrition, and gear. So like and subscribe, hit that notification bell to follow along. And until then, crush trails and drink ales.